Hello guys, so as you might have noticed, we've had a few issues in the PropFirm space in the past about 1 to 1.5 years. Some of the biggest companies have collapsed. The first one was My Forex Fund. By the time it was shutting down, it literally was the largest company in terms of market share. We've also had True Forex Funds, which has shut down this year. Some other companies include skilled funded traders. We've also had the funded trader this year, which collapsed, and they're still trying to come back up. We've also had Fortune's funding, which collapsed. Currently, if you search, you can't even find their website. Same thing to Skill Funded Trader. Now, these companies collapsed because of different reasons. For My Forex Fund, they had some allegations behind conducting some bad practices against their clients, which are their traders, and the CFTC froze their bank accounts. Obviously, these also spoiled their reputation at the same time. So even if they were to make a comeback, no one would actually want to buy a challenge there. Now, with True Forex Funds and many other companies which have collapsed this year, the trend was actually the same. So the MetaCodes, which is the company behind the MT4 and MT5, banned a lot of prop firms from using their platform. And this happened very abruptly, so no one was prepared for it, including the prop firms. Now, the companies affected were forced to shift their clients within a very short notice from MT4, MT5 to new trading platforms like CTrader, DXTrade, MatchTrader. And because of the short notice, there were some difficulties in migrating their accounts and migrating all the information correctly from the different servers. And at the same time, it affected their intakes of new customers who were coming. So it affected their business operations. Eventually, it affected their liquidity, and they were not able to pay traders consistently. So some companies were actually able to recover, but some companies were completely shattered because of all that complication which came about in a short span of time. At the same time, some companies seem to have been prepared already. Companies like Funded Next were never affected by the MT5 issue because they already have their own license. Companies like the 5%ers were never affected. Same thing to companies like FTMO. So one thing that we've learned by this point in time is that regardless of the size of the prop firm, there's a possibility that it might actually have issues. And the issues might be as little as the company is struggling to do payouts, and some of them might recover. For some companies, the issues might be as big as the whole company actually collapsing. So you would probably think that the small companies are the ones which will have problems, but ironically, the biggest companies are the ones which have actually had issues and shut down. Now, as a trader, the first thing you need to accept is there is a risk involved in the markets. Just like any other business where you'll have losses and there are risks involved, in trading you also have something called the cost of running the business of trading. Now, part of the cost of running the business include these risks like losing money sometimes in a trade. And another type of risk is here in the prop firm space. You might be using a company and one day they shut down. You need to understand that the history has shown us this possibility is actually there. Now, at the same time, we also have a lot of companies that some of us are using very, very well, and we are getting payouts, we are not having any issues. So how do you find that balance to be able to navigate correctly in the prop firm space is exactly what I'll be sharing in this video. So first of all, you need to understand that choosing a nice prop firm can only be dependent on what we are seeing right now. I might come right now and tell you FTMO is one of the best companies, but I'm judging the conditions based on their operations to date. But we've seen in the prop firms, a company can be good for 2-3 years, and then by the 4th year, they start having issues. So just because I've said FTMO is a good company, in my own opinion, does not mean it will never face any issues in future. So you can only judge a company based on the success of the current operations. Now, that being said, I often get the question of, what prop firm do you recommend? What do you think is the best company? And there's no single answer to the question. I've mentioned this before that one company can be good for me and not good for you. So a company is only good depending with your trading style as compared to the rules that they allow you to follow in your evaluation and in your trading process. That being said, you'll need to develop something called a checklist that you'll be using to know what a good company looks like. Now, my checklist can't be the same as yours if we don't trade the same style. At the same time, it is you who will have to make your own judgment. So I can't come and tell you use this company by force. I can only show you the companies that I've personally been using. I show you my progress, I show you my trades, I show you my payouts. If at some point I get denied a payout, I'll also do a video to show you that. But as long as I haven't got any issue, I cannot complain about a prop firm. Now I'm saying this because sometimes in my comment section, I see people saying that a certain prop firm I'm using is not good. Some people will come and say this company is a scam. And you see, the truth is, there is no single prop firm that doesn't have negative reviews. For example, in my own opinion, the 5%ers is one of the companies that has been there for the longest time. It has a very solid framework, and I'm not even promoting them. I'm just telling you based on my experience. In fact, of all the prop firms I've used, I think it has the best spreads and the best execution. But if you go to their reviews, you'll still find some negative reviews. You'll still find someone saying something bad. bad. So if you're looking for a company that has absolutely no negative review, then it doesn't exist in the first place. Another thing you need to understand is that these companies have rules. Now, when you see a bad review, it can either be two things. A bad review can be that actually the company had some problem on their side and they're supposed to take the blame. For example, this guy is complaining of poor customer service. So maybe it's true that he or she didn't get the best customer service. But also at the same time, some of the negative reviews usually are traders who didn't understand the rules. They go and breach the rules. Then when they get denied a payout, they come and complain. That's why I keep telling you guys, go and read the rules before you take a PropFirm. You cannot take a PropFirm just because I'm using it or because you've seen anyone using it without reading the rules. And I often come across people who already have a challenge and then they come and ask me questions about at what time does this company pay out. So the fact that you've already bought a challenge and you don't even know how the payouts happen, it means you're doing the wrong thing. Before you take a challenge, go to the company's website, go to their FAQs. And PropFirms have actually done a very good job to explain their rules. If you go here, you will find rules explaining every single detail, including those payouts, including the currency pairs, anything you can think of. Now, when you read the rules and you realize they are not matching up to how you approach the markets or they are not in favor to your trading style, it means you can't take that PropFirm. And that's why I've said a good company for me might not be a good company for you and vice versa. So for me, here is what my checklist looks like. So anytime I'm looking for a PropFirm, it should at least fall under this category. So any PropFirm that has these things, in my own opinion, I consider it an A-list PropFirm. An A-list PropFirm does not mean it can't have issues. An A-list PropFirm simply means, based on the current operations, everything that I'm seeing is giving me confidence to believe this company is operating very well right now and in the near future. A company can do very well right now, but in the next 6 months, they start having payout issues. So in case we get there, I might change my opinion on them. The first thing that I look for is a company that has been here for a long period of time, or even if it hasn't been here for a very long time, I want to see evidence of a very solid framework. Now, some of the companies I'm using, we have Alpha Capital, we have Funded Next, we have the 5%ers. I'm also looking to take accounts in companies such as FTMO. I'm also looking at this company called E8 Funding. But you see, the thing is, I'm not telling you these are the best companies. I'm just telling you, in my own opinion, if I follow my checklist and do my due diligence, I find them to be matching up with what I'm looking for and they are in favor of my trading style. Another thing I look for is news trading. So some PropFirms will tell you that your trade cannot open or close within a 2-minute window. A good example of such a PropFirm is FTMO. They do have this account here which, if your trade opens or closes within a 2-minute news window, they consider that a breach and you can even lose your account. However, this is why I'm telling you, you need to read all the rules. If you go further to the same rules of FTMO, they do have another type of account called a swing type of account. Now, this account is there for the type of people who cannot operate with the 2-minute news window. In short, if you take the swing type of account, whether your trade closes or opens within the news window, it will not be a breach. It's actually accepted. So if you don't read the rules, you might just come and buy this standard account here, which might not be working in your favor. So for someone like me, as I'm thinking of taking an FTMO account, the type of account I'll be going for is obviously a swing type of account. And I'll also go through every other rule just to confirm the swing type of account is in favor of my trading style. If I find something that is not working in my favor, I might be forced not to take the challenge, at least for now. I also avoid consistency rules. I avoid a company that doesn't allow a trade copier, meaning I can just take trades in my other accounts and they can copy in that PropFirm. We do have PropFirms which don't allow you to do copy trading. A good example is Alpha Capital. Alpha Capital doesn't allow copy trading unless you contact their support. So for me, I hate to contact their support and explain to them that I want to do copy trading because I have multiple accounts. And if you just explain to them, they have no problem. The only thing you have to do is prove that the master account you're using is actually yours. So for me, my master account is in Funded Next. So I had to go to my Funded Next account. I took the master login details, which is the ID and the investor password. So you don't share your main account password. You share the investor password because that is a third-party password. So they had to log in from their side. They confirmed that this account of Funded Next belongs to me. It's only after that I was allowed to continue doing copy trading on my Alpha Capital. So you see, again, if you don't understand the rules, you'll just take the challenge and you start to realize all these complications within the time you are trading, and it can be very frustrating. In the case this company could not be having any provision for a trade copier, maybe I would not have taken the challenge right now. I could have just prioritized the other companies, then I would come back to it way later after I have exhausted all the companies that are falling within my A list. And that's exactly what I'm doing. If a company is not in my A list, I just ignore it for now, but in future I might come back and try to consider. So another thing I look for is a company that has MT5, but as you see, it's not really a must. For me, all the companies I'm using at the moment still have MT5. In fact, even FTMO has MT5, even though I haven't taken a challenge. Same thing with E8 funding, it still also offers MT5. So that's why I'm telling you, all the companies that you see here are falling within the list of what I consider a nice prop firm. And that is my own opinion and not an overall recommendation to anyone. You always have to do your due diligence. I also don't want any profit cap. There are companies which tell you if you make a certain amount of profit, you can't trade for that day, etc. And finally, I want a company that has a great Trustpilot score. Now, for me, anything above 4.5 stars on Trustpilot is not that bad. So like the 5%ers have a rating of 4.9 stars. If we look at Funded Next, already you can see it has a rating of 4.5. FTMO has 4.8. So let me search for the E8 markets. E8 markets has a rating of 4.7. So all of them, as you can see, are falling within the category of what I'd consider a nice prop firm. So as a trader, make sure you have such a guideline that assists you to know what company is good, at least for now. Keep in mind, as I've said, it might change in the future and you have to be open-minded to that as well. Another measure you can use in the prop firm space to navigate successfully is diversify. For example, I could have bought, let's say, 500k account in one prop firm, or I could have bought a 400k account in one prop firm. But you see, instead of going to FTMO and taking two 400k accounts, I'd rather spread out and take one account on the 5%ers, which is 100k. I have close to 200k on Funded Next, and I have another 200k on Alpha Capital. And I'm still going for more accounts on these other companies I've mentioned over time. So the importance of diversification is, in case anything happens in one company, you still have the other companies running, because the companies here are very independent. There is no relationship between FTMO and the 5%. There are two independent companies with very different structures, very different types of challenges, etc. So you want to make sure you diversify across different companies over time. So the best way I can advise you whenever you're looking for a prop firm is very simple, because you'll find people in my comment section complaining this company is bad. It's simple. If you don't have confidence in a company, don't buy their challenge. Even I myself, I have no business with convincing you to buy a specific prop firm that you don't want. Only take challenges in a company that you can see it's matching up with your standard. For example, I saw someone commenting on my Funded Next video saying that Funded Next is a scam. If you don't have confidence in the company, it's simple. Don't buy their challenge. Go and look for a company that you find the conditions to be in your favor. And even as you do that, just remember, regardless of the company, there's still a potential risk involved in the future. So that's it for this video. I hope it will assist you to navigate properly in the prop firm space when you are trying to build your capital and select the nice companies. I'll see you in the next video.